What you're looking at is arguably the world's most extreme culinary transformation. In a grueling process taking up to a year, this fresh fish becomes a block that looks, feels, and sounds exactly like solid wood. This is Katsuobushi, the backbone of Japanese flavour. My obsession with it actually started at a luxury French restaurant in Nagoya. The master artisan himself, Yusuke-san, hand-grated it fresh for my meal, and the flavour, along with his absolute enthusiasm for the craft, totally blew me away. He invited me to his factory right there and then, so I travelled 1,000 kilometres to see firsthand how you turn raw fish into pure gold. Let's start at day one. I arrived at 6:45 in the morning thinking I was early, but Yusuke-san was already deep into his workday. Walking into a massive fish plant on a hot morning, I braced myself for a proper assault on my nostrils, but strangely, it was pristine. No unpleasant fishy smell at all. Suddenly, Yusuke-san rolls up on a forklift like an absolute boss, expertly tilting a giant vat of whole Bonito to drain the water right across the floor. Look at the size of these fish. This is the raw material about to undergo an evolution of up to a year. With the morning light hidden the steam, it looks more like a moody movie set than a factory floor, but the peaceful vibe didn't last long. Time for the cutting stage. The fish heads up a conveyor belt towards a massive mechanical saw, and yeah, it gets pretty graphic fast. From there, they roll onto the cutting table. The speed and teamwork here is staggering, like a beautifully choreographed dance with razor-sharp knives. Sustainability is built right into the workflow here. All the heads and the guts are passed on to another company to be used as animal feed and fertilizer. The only downside? I stood a little too close. I got pelted by flying debris and marinated in fish water, meaning these trainers had to be thrown away by the end of the day. RIP to my favourite pair, but it was completely worth it. Once filleted, they're arranged into metal trays. They have to be shaped precisely right now, because once boiled and dried, they lose 80% of their weight and harden into their final form. They separate them into Obushi, the leaner back pieces, and Mebushi, the fattier belly pieces. Before the next step, I spotted another vital team member, Yusuke-san's 92-year-old grandmother. She still actively helps out around the grounds, a beautiful reminder of how deep their family roots run here. Stacked into heavy metal cages, the fish are lowered deep into the boiling tanks to lock in their shape and seal the flavour. The second they hit the water, the entire room instantly transformed. The air filled with a deep, comforting aroma of freshly cooked Bonito. Imagine a top-tier Dashi broth multiplied by 1,000. It smelled so good I wanted to grab a spoon and dive straight in. After a few hours, the cages were lifted and an immense wall of steam erupted, completely swallowing the room in seconds. It felt less like a factory and more like a very delicious, fish-scented steam room. Once it cleared, you get your first look at the cooked Bonito, firm, perfectly intact, and ready for the next painstaking phase of the journey. Once the fish are boiled, the process totally shifts gear. We go from heavy manual labour to absolute surgical precision. First, the team takes over for the deboning stage. They use tweezers to manually pluck out every single microscopic bone hidden inside the meat, one fish at a time. Just watching them made my hands cramp up. I've had splinters removed with less focus. If you think you've got patience, try doing this to hundreds of fish a day without losing your mind. The sheer zen-like focus in this room was slightly chilling. Once the bones are out, the fillets move to the ultimate quality control station. This is where I got to meet a true living legend, Yusuke-san's father, Hidenobu-san. He is the third generation master of this factory. Watching Hidenobu-san and Yusuke-san work side by side, hand trimming and cleaning up these fillets with compelling speed was incredible. You can just feel the decades of family history in their workflow. While they're trimming away the imperfections, notice how they deliberately leave half the skin on the fish. It's not an accident, and it's not for decoration. It's a genius secret indicator that allows them to read the fish later. Keep an eye on that skin, because I'll reveal exactly what it tells them in just a few stages. From there, the team takes the fillets for the final repairing stage. They use a fine paste made from the Bonito meat itself to patch up any gaps, almost like Culinary Polyfilla. They also slap a tiny, leftover piece of fish skin right onto the sharp tip of the fillets. It looks like they've given the fish a little crash helmet, but it's actually a protective shield to keep that delicate, narrow end from breaking apart in the intense heat of the smokehouse. With every single block patched up, they were finally ready to head into the most brutal environment in the factory. Yusuke-san led me down a hidden staircase into the basement. I'd been walking around this place for hours and I didn't even realise it existed, but the second we stepped down, my nose figured it out instantly. A thick, rich, smoky aroma absolutely hit me. This underground bunker is the heart of a brilliant 3-story smoking system. Fires burn down here, and the smoke rises through the iron gates, travelling through 3 floors of smoking rooms stacked directly above us. A wall of dense smoke surges through the floor, totally engulfing the Bonito blocks. Back in the basement, I was taking a total beating. The smoke got into my eyes, my hair, and every single fibre of my clothing. I didn't just smell like smoke. I felt like I had mutated into a piece of Katsuobushi myself. The dedication required here is wild. For this first cycle, Yusuke-san has to manually come down to this dark basement every 2 hours, 4 times a day, just to stoke the logs and regulate the temperature. This entire process can take up to a full month. When you open that heavy metal door, you truly start to appreciate the timeline of this craft. Look at these blocks. They've only been in the smoke chamber for 1 day. You can see the surface starting to darken and firm up as the moisture evaporates. But look at the contrast when we fast forward a month. These blocks have been smoked and dried repeatedly for 30 days straight. They've massively shrunk, turned pitch black, and look totally unrecognizable. At this point, they're morphed into a deeply concentrated brick of pure flavour. Yusuke-san showed me something completely unexpected. His reputation is so legendary that he collaborated with Noma, one of the top restaurants on earth, applying this intensive smoking technique to create a unique, plant-based umami. Seeing a traditional family factory partner with global fine dining was incredible. Back to the fish, where that mystery skin finally comes into play. Yusuke-san uses it to judge the oil content, dictating the next steps. He explains that the right piece has much less oil than the left. To me, they look completely identical. To transform these raw, carbonized bricks, we enter the shaping stage. Yusuke-san sands away the soot and surface fats, a vital step that allows the beneficial mold to grip the surface during fermentation. Holding one, it completely messed with my head. It had the exact weight and density of a block of solid mahogany wood. Remember the Obushi and Mebushi cuts from earlier? Each fish yields 4 blocks, 2 leaner male pieces from the back, which create a crystal clear broth, and 2 fattier female pieces from the belly for a much richer flavour. But for Yusuke-san, this is high art. He sculpts the male pieces to stand straight and proud, while giving the female pieces an elegant curve. Side by side, they fit together flawlessly, like a married couple. Hearing the romance and philosophy he finds in the contours of a dried fish was completely captivating. It shows a level of passion and respect that is truly on another level. To reach peak quality, the blocks are intentionally covered in mould. I expected something slimy, but this beneficial strain feels like bone-dry chalk dust. By day 12, the growth is already massive, carefully cultivated by Yusuke-san controlling the climate. By day 20, the blocks are entirely carpeted. This living layer does the heavy lifting, drawing out the last traces of moisture, breaking down the remaining fats, and locking in that signature umami flavour. The process finishes under the scorching Japanese sun. Repeatedly sun-drying the blocks coaxes out any stubborn core moisture, while the intense UV exposure strengthens the mold strain. It's a beautiful partnership between meticulous human skill and the natural elements. This next part was easily the most surreal experience in the factory. The moment Yusuke-san slid open the fermentation room door, I heard something completely unexpected. Not the sound of heavy machinery, but Mozart. This is the birthplace of their classic Katsuobushi. The blocks ferment in the dark for up to a year, while the mold absorbs remaining moisture, skyrocketing the umami. The Mozart music plays 24/7 because they believe the vibrations stimulate mold growth. Serenading fish mold with 18th century symphonies is next level dedication. To know when they're done, Yusuke-san uses the ultimate old school test. he just bangs them together. The blocks have become so dense, they sound like solid hardwood. And he judges absolute perfection purely by the musical pitch of the clack. He even pulled out a vintage batch from 2020. When he struck them together, it gives off a sharper, deeper clack. The literal sound of time, patience, and absolute mastery. Just when I thought Mozart was enough, Yusuke-san showed me his experimental room. Here, he tests how modern, bass-heavy vibrations affect the mould. I love that despite generations of tradition, he's still pushing boundaries to see if hip-hop beats can unlock a whole new expression of umami. After witnessing this mind-boggling process, it was time for the ultimate reward. Tasting Yusuke-san's Katsuobushi here, after seeing the weeks of boiling, smoking, hand-sculpting, and sonic fermentation, felt less like lunch and more like a sacred ritual. As Yusuke-san ran it across the blade, paper-thin flakes cascaded onto warm white rice, instantly releasing an exploding, deeply smoky aroma, while standard Katsuobushi is used for broth. This premium Honkarebushi is best experienced raw. The flakes literally melt on your tongue, delivering a concentrated bomb of pure umami. Mid-meal, Yusuke-san's mother walked in with a surprise, driving home that this is a true multi-generational family business, from his 92-year-old grandmother to his father on the cutting line. She brought over the Bonito belly meat trimmed during the very first stage, now perfectly grilled over the fire. Rich, juicy, and beautifully charred. It was a perfect full-circle moment, proving that in this factory, absolutely nothing goes to waste. For my final stop, Yusuke-san took me to the modern on-site shop and gallery. After that taste test, there was no way I was leaving empty-handed. I aggressively stocked up on their classic line. But the gallery side is where Yusuke-san's creativity truly shines beyond food. He actually crafts jewellery out of polished Katsuobushi blocks. When sanded down, the core takes on a gorgeous, deep red appearance. Wearing fish as an accessory is a fashion statement I never could have imagined. This space also features his unconventional smoking experiments, including a fully smoked marlin head and an entire octopus. Looking more like avant-garde museum sculptures than food, they are the ultimate testament to a master artisan who refuses to stay inside the box. After another 12-hour workday, it's clear Yusuke-san is one of the hardest working people I've ever met, tackling this intense physical craft with an enthusiasm that perfectly bridges heritage and modern experimentation. By the end, I smelled so intensely of fish smoke, I was genuinely embarrassed to walk into my hotel. Completely worth it though. Wrapping up at sunset, I reflected on their future. With his son already learning the ropes, this incredible 4-generation legacy is in safe hands. A massive thank you to Yusuke-san and his family for welcoming me into their world.